Hi guys, it's Emily, the founder of the Inspired Oil Life. Today I want to hop on here and talk to you about women's health and hormones. So last night I taught a class locally here in my own home actually about this topic, women's health and hormones, and it is something that I really love. I love this topic. I feel like I'm always learning. There's always so much to dig into. And when I put this out on my social channels in the past week or two, I had so many people from far and wide that were like, I can't be there locally, but I still want to learn this information from you. So can you please share this live for us, or can you record a video, or can you do a webinar? So I said, yes, I will. And that's why I'm here today talking about women's health and hormones, because we touched on a lot of important stuff. I think it was a pretty juicy class. There is a lot of information about, hormones, women's health is like, it's a huge topic. And if I asked every single woman, we'd all have different things going on for us. And I will say, I've done some polling here in my stories, also in real life, and I would say 80 to 90% of women that I ask or talk to do have some sort of hormonal imbalance. So this is something that's touching many lives, and whether that is, the well-known hormonal imbalance like infertility, or maybe, cystic acne, or PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, or thyroid issues, or adrenal fatigue. These are all hormone related, and they are really having a huge impact on our population these days. So let's dig in. So last night when I had a group of women in my home, the first thing I passed around was a bottle of grapefruit. So if you have grapefruit, this is a great place to start when you're thinking of supporting your body. So take a drop. If you have grapefruit, take a drop and just breathe it in. Take a nice deep breath in, because grapefruit is the oil of honoring the body. So when we think about our bodies and women's health, one of the biggest things I want you to take away is that your body there's nothing wrong with it. It is not it may be out of whack, but it doesn't want to be. It doesn't want to be wreaking havoc in your life. It's just blocked. It's got blockages. It's got issues. They can be cleared out, because your body really does want to be in a state of homeostasis, okay? It wants to find balance. So let's talk about, today on this broadcast, I want to talk about some of the really common endocrine disruptors and things that are hormone disruptors wreaking havoc on our cells that are creating a lot of the dis-ease in our body. I'm going to cover those, and also ways that we can clear those blockages, okay? And ways that we can really detoxify our body in a gentle manner and really keep our chimneys flowing. As naturopaths often refer to our detox pathways as our chimneys, we really need to keep things from getting blocked, because those blockages are going to be what leads to dis-ease, okay? So let's talk first about what hormones are. I'm not going to dive into this really deeply because I think I'd lose a lot of you. But I should say, let me just say I'm not a doctor, okay? But what I do love to do is learn from the doctors. And I live in the Pacific Northwest, where I'm really lucky to get to work with a lot of women's health and hormone doctors and naturopaths. Dr. Josie Schmidt, Dr. Jenny Tufinkian, Dr. Louise Rose, Dr. Mariza. These are women that I pull in everything. I go to their presentations, I listen to their podcasts, I read their books, and basically what I've done is taken a lot of the stuff that I've learned from them and compiled it into this class. So I'm not going to give everything to you that I talked about in my class, but we'll cover some of the main takeaways I think that we had last night, because we had some pretty big eye-openers, I would say. So what are hormones? A hormone is really just a chemical released by a cell or a gland in our body, basically that sends a message to another function in our body to take an action, okay? So in essence, a hormone is a chemical messenger, and it transports a signal from one cell to another. So that is what a hormone is, okay? But hormones coordinate and control all kinds of things like infertility, growth, mood, stress, sleep, metabolism, emotions, behavior. So really every part of our body is controlled practically by these hormones, okay? So we've got kind of 4 main hormones that we talked about last night. Hi, Joanne, popping on. We're talking about women's health and hormones in this broadcast today. So I'm glad you're here. So we talked about estrogen, and estrogen is the primary female sex hormone. Okay, most of us know that, right? It's gonna play a really crucial role in our menstrual cycle. It also helps regulate our mood, our heart health, mood management. So estrogen is really important. We're going to talk about estrogen dominance, which is something that comes up a lot as well. But the second hormone that is really worth kind of defining is progesterone. And progesterone is important because it regulates our menstrual cycle and it relieves symptoms of PMS, of premenstrual syndrome, okay? So PMS, none of us like it, right? It also is really helpful. So progesterone is important to stay balanced because, hi Florence, thanks for hopping on. We are talking about women's health and hormones, believe it or not. So progesterone is helpful in relieving migraines and headaches, so we want to keep that in balance, right? It acts as a natural antidepressant. We want to keep that in balance. It relieves anxiety and improves our sleep, our thyroid, our bone health. So it is related to a lot of things as well. The third hormone that is worth really talking about because it's one that comes up a lot is our cortisol, okay? Cortisol levels are spiked these days because we live in a very stressful world. So put your hand up if you experience stress on a regular basis, maybe daily, or maybe a lot of us on, minute by minute, right? I mean, we just live under a ton of stress these days. And unfortunately, that is also having a negative impact on our hormones and our life and our body and the ease of which our body functions, okay? So cortisol is our stress hormone. It helps regulate blood sugar and it helps boost and support our immune system. But when it's too high, cortisol levels can be associated with everything from feelings of fear, panic, depression. It can impair memory. It can be anxiety and anxiousness and those types of feelings of being too overwhelmed. So we need to support that cortisol at our natural levels. And then the fourth hormone that I want to talk about is the thyroid hormone. You guys know anybody with hypothyroid or hyperthyroid? We had one of each in the class last night. So these thyroid issues are popping up over and over and over. It's hard to know a woman, or it's hard to go through life, I feel like now, without knowing a woman or a man or multiple people that have thyroid dysregulation. So thyroid is important because it regulates functions like breathing and our heart rate and our metabolism and our body temperature. So we got to keep our thyroid in check as well. So let's dive into estrogen a little bit. I'm going to give you some information about helping keep our estrogen levels balanced because estrogen dominance is a very, very common concern, okay? So estrogen is considered the most misunderstood hormone, and the reason is that it's very confusing because there are things called xenoestrogens that are exterior from us, that are toxins in our environment, and they actually come into our body and then they mimic estrogen in our body, and they confuse our cells, and our body thinks that we've got too much estrogen when it's actually toxins. So too much estrogen can include, so estrogen dominance can include cellulite, breast and ovarian fibroids. Those are very common. Varicose veins, weight gain around your hips, painful periods, bloating, mood swings. So yeah, this is all coming up a lot. So, but 99% of the time when you hear estrogen dominance, that's actually a result of things we're exposed to, like estrogen in the body, okay? So the toxins coming into our body acting like estrogen, not actually what it is. Okay, So that's estrogen. Let's talk about phytoestrogens. So doTERRA actually has a phytoestrogen product that is awesome, that I would highly recommend if you have concerns of estrogen, either deficiency or dominance. The reason is that it's an adaptogenic. I'll talk about this in a second. But what a true phytoestrogen is, they're naturally occurring in the live food that we eat, like plants and vegetables and fruits, flax, omegas. So all of these foods have phytoestrogens. They are phytoestrogens, and they're really great for supporting balance in our bodies. But how many of us eat maybe not quite enough of those things and maybe a little bit more processed foods, right? So pizzas, donuts, cookies, chips, all the things that are super tasty that we want to eat are really not feeding our body in the way that we need it to, right? Okay, so phytoestrogen is naturally occurring in our plants. We eat and breathe with our plants. They really have a great and positive function in our body when we're getting a lot of them. So one of the themes through this class that I taught last night was that we are not getting sicker. We are not weaker. We are just exposed to more chemicals. So what can we do when we've got this chemical exposure that is wreaking havoc on our cells? We need to clean it up. So we need to clean that up, clean off the cell receptors that are blocked, and then block those xenoestrogens, those outside toxins, from coming into our cells. Are you guys with me so far? I know this is a big topic, but it's an important one. So some really common hormone inhibitors are going to be things like poor diet, xenoestrogens, inflammation. Many of us deal with inflammation on a regular basis. That is a common hormone inhibitor. Stress. Okay, we have our oils for stress. We have our oils for a lot of these things, inflammation, right? So the more we use our oils, the more we can reduce these common hormone inhibitors from having a negative impact on our body. So a sedentary lifestyle and environmental toxins, those are all common hormone inhibitors. Now, let's go back to the xenoestrogen, okay? Because they're found in everyday products. That is one of the things that I am here to educate on as a life goal, is to get these xenoestrogens out of our environment and out of our homes, out of our bodies. And I feel so strongly about that because, well, one of the reasons is that my dad was diagnosed and died from a cancer that was related to chemical exposure in his life. And I think that there are many of us that have that in our lives, right? We've been impacted by the death of a loved one, and it was likely chemical exposure. Did you guys know there's a huge class action lawsuit happening right now to the makers of Roundup because of the chemical glyphosate that is in Roundup has been linked to so many different cancers and making people sick, killing them. And so there's a class action lawsuit against the company right now. I think that's pretty awesome. Okay, so endocrine disruptors are found in everyday products. You guys want to know some of the worst endocrine disruptors and sources of these xenoestrogens? So when you hear xenoestrogen, that is a negative. The phytoestrogen is the plant. That starts with a P. Hyto, phytoestrogen. The xenoestrogen is the XENO. Okay, so stay away from the xenoestrogens, but it's hard to unless you have a really clean diet and life. So here are common sources of xenoestrogens: commercially raised meat and dairy products. Okay, so anything that's commercially raised is going to be laden with these xenoestrogens. So do what you can to avoid those. Anything that contains insecticides or pesticide residue, and that's going to be all of our food if it's not organic. And let's be honest, organic food is more expensive, but research after research is now showing and is proving that people that eat an organic diet are 30% less likely to get cancer. I mean, just on and on and on. We know that we need to eat more organic foods. Take your funds, and if you need to cut costs in one area so that you can reallocate them to buy organic fruits and vegetables, organic products and food, I really encourage you to do that so we can reduce these xenoestrogens that we're taking in so much. If we want to get healthy, we've got to reduce our exposure to these toxins. So, parabens. Parabens are in shampoos, lotions, soaps, toothpaste, cosmetics, personal care products. They're in so many different things. And that is why we use doTERRA, because their ingredients are so clean that we don't have to pick up every label and wonder and look if those items in the ingredient list are actually truly natural, right? So doTERRA, if you're using all of their products, their home care products, house cleaning products, you're going to know that they're safe and without these xenoestrogens. Also, phthalates. Phthalates are plastics, and our body can't handle this inundation of plastics from what we're eating out of, drinking out of, the air we're breathing, everywhere around us. And those are toxins also wreaking havoc in our body. So also food additives, artificial sweeteners, and artificial dyes, MSG. A huge one, you guys, that a lot of people don't know about are dryer sheets are absolutely loaded with xenoestrogens. So if you can do one thing today, actually I'm going to give you 3 things maybe today, it's get rid of the dryer sheets in your home. Get rid of them. Go invest in some wool dryer balls. Invest in your essential oils from doTERRA. Add a couple drops of essential oil to your wool dryer balls, and those work great in the dryer as dryer sheet replacements. I've been doing that for years. They work wonderful. The other thing are like plugins. Glade plugins. We had someone here last night that was like, I've got Glade plugins all over my house. Get rid of them. That was my first task to do for her, is get rid of those because they are loaded with toxins and these xenoestrogens. And then disposable menstrual pads. So if you're a woman that hasn't moved to either organic tampons or menstrual pads or menstrual cups yet, I've got a menstrual cup inside me right now, and I'm going to tell you it works. It's awesome. It's amazing. I love it on so many different levels, and it's not super toxic. So our vaginal membranes are so thin that they actually have done research that has shown that if you take a medication, an over-the-counter medication, and insert it vaginally, it actually has a quicker and a deeper absorption than if you take it through your mouth. Isn't that crazy? Okay, so we need to clean up what we're putting in our vagina. Sorry for the men on here, but you guys can handle this conversation. So if we can take care of our exposure to chemicals, we can reduce so much of the disease that is happening in our bodies. So I'm not telling you guys this to scare you. I'm telling it to empower you. Okay, we have to know knowledge is power, and we have to know this information in order to act on it. So hormone disruptors are wreaking havoc not only on us as women, but also our husbands. Infertility in men is on the rise. It is not just a women's issue. Also early onset puberty in boys and girls. Breast growth in boys from these endocrine disruptors that are in our environment. Infertility in women and men. Endometriosis, PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is more and more common, and in breast cancer as well. So what we need to do is clean our receptor sites and block those xenoestrogens, okay? So we clean the sites off, and then we block them from being able to enter us. This is where this product, phytoestrogen, comes in. If you're a woman, I just highly recommend you take these. Men can take these too, absolutely. But this is a broadcast about women's health. So I would encourage you to take 1, if not 2 of these a day. You're going to notice, especially if you're going into perimenopause, menopause, you're going to notice big differences fast. I've talked to women who have had great results with nighttime sweats and different kind of hormonal imbalance in those ways that have been relieved by taking their phytoestrogen. Okay, the phytoestrogen, as I mentioned earlier, are adaptogenic. So our body takes what it needs and releases the rest. And there are some really wonderful adaptogenic herbs out there that I've talked about many times, like ginseng and ashwagandha and cordyceps and all these wonderful, turmeric is one as well, adaptogenic herbs that adapt to our body. They're live, our bodies are live, and we know how to take them in, okay? So also, you don't have to worry if you're estrogen dominant about taking these because of them being adaptogenic as well. So take your phytoestrogen. They are going to, so whatever it is, right? Whether this is for infertility, hormonal imbalance because of infertility, PCOS, thyroid issues, endometriosis, avoid the chemicals, so reduce your toxic exposure, that's key. Then support our bodies in dealing with them when we're exposed, which we are every single day, and I'm going to give you some tips for that. And then take the phytoestrogen to clear the receptor sites, okay? So those are 3 really big key tips for you. So we have a liver, we have kidneys. Those are wonderful organs in our body for detoxifying and for helping clear things out. But we can help them along the way by taking our essential oils internally. So some of the oils that I'd recommend taking internally on a daily basis to help with that gentle detoxing and gentle cleansing are going to be any of the citrus oils by doTERRA. Here again, we're talking only about doTERRA, okay? You can't take another essential oil internally. So don't go off this broadcast and then go to your essential oils that you purchased at Costco or Whole Foods and plan to take those internally. But ones that you can, that are medicinal and therapeutic, like doTERRA, you can take to help really reducing and releasing those phthalates and parabens, those plastics, those xenoestrogens from our body and releasing those, okay? So who experiences chronic stress? Chronic stress is a big, big, big deal that's wreaking havoc on our endocrine system as well in the form of, you guys probably know, adrenal fatigue, right? Adrenal fatigue is a thing. I've got my adrenal blend on my desk right there. I should probably grab it for this broadcast. But this is an important thing to know, is that we need to reduce our stress levels to help our adrenals function better in our bodies. And our adrenals and our thyroid are like super connected. And so if you have thyroid issues, if you're hypo or hyperthyroid, really the first thing that an allopathic physician would say would be to address the adrenals. So when we're talking about natural medicine versus modern medicine, let's be real, we're super thankful for our modern medicine. I know I am. When I broke my foot, I definitely headed to the hospital and got pins put into it to hold it all together, right? But in terms of prevention and proactive healthcare, we're wanting to address the root cause rather than the symptom, the result, right? So Western medicine is wonderful at addressing the symptom. They'll give you a Band-Aid for anything you want. It might often cause side effects and have a lot of long-term ill effects, right? That's like all the commercials talk about. But homeopathic medicine is going to be addressing the root cause of the issue. So if we're thinking about thyroid, we actually want to address the adrenals first. So how cool is that, right? I think it's brilliant. So one of the things that's important to know about adrenals, and gosh, like I said earlier, this is such a big conversation. It's so important, and it is impossible to talk about everything in one broadcast. But since I've got some people hanging on with me, I'm just going to keep going for a couple more minutes, and then I'll probably wrap it up. But one of the things to know is that adrenals respond to stimulus in our brain, okay? So stress in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's how we respond to stress. So here's a little anecdote that you may have heard, and I think it is very fascinating, and I was talking to my daughter about it yesterday because she is feeling a lot of stress in her life right now. And when we lived thousands of years ago, and we foraged for our food, and we shot animals or killed animals, chased animals for our food, and that was our sustenance, right? One of the things that our body was really great at was responding to intense and immediate threats, otherwise known as stress, right? So in other words, if you were being chased by a lion, your body would biologically, physiologically make changes to it so that your stomach would kind of clamp down and it would stop being hungry. Your pupils would dilate, your brain would have different actions happening so that you could run as fast as you could to escape that threat, right? That's the fight or flight in our bodies. We need to fight or flight. So the issue now is that our body, we're not being chased by lions anymore, right? There aren't any lions on my block. I don't know about you. So, but our body doesn't know that. So our body is designed to react very quickly and heavily to stress and threats. But our body, when our kids walk home from school and they're in a bad mood and that stresses us out, or, our finances are in disarray, or our relationship is, or our work life is a mess and we're just under copious amounts of stress, our body doesn't know the difference between like allocating energy toward being chased after a lion or chased by a lion versus like, oh, it's just our kid that walked in the door and stressed us out. So what we need to learn how to do is really cope with our stress in a way that isn't taxing putting massive amounts of stress on our adrenals. Okay, I hope that little anecdote made sense. I think it's a fun one. So again, it's not the stress as bad as how we respond to it. And we're in such a constant state of stress and anxiousness in our world these days. I see it everywhere. I see it in our children, that it is what is causing high cortisol levels in our body, and that after long periods of stress, we're falling into something we call adrenal fatigue. Ooh, this is a lot of stuff, right? So when you're under a lot of stress all the time, your body also is not going to likely have the proper balance of these hormones we were talking about, right? Estrogen and testosterone and progesterone. Everything's going to be out of whack. Everything's going to be confused. And then on top of that, we've got the xenoestrogens coming in and wreaking havoc and confusing things further. And it's not a big mystery why there are so many different hormonal issues these days. All right, you guys with me so far? So did you know that 90% of doctor visits are stress related? 90%. 90% of doctor visits are stress related. That's huge. It's really massive. But what is powerful is that our limbic system, okay, which is about here in our brain, a little bit further back, but in this area, is connected to our olfactory system. And we know, there's a ton of science and research on this, that we know that what we breathe through our olfactory system hits those receptor sites in our limbic system, and what we breathe affects our mood. There's been a ton of research on this. So what we need to do is utilize our essential oils for breathing in. There are a lot of essential oils that are wonderful for stress reduction. Rose and patchouli, you can go to pubmed.gov, a government database clearinghouse for all the scientific research being done anywhere in the world gets piled into pubmed.gov. And there's a really interesting research that I found in there that patchouli and rose will decrease blood adrenaline, so stress levels, by 30%. So just breathing in the aroma of a lot of these oils like lavender and serenity and balance and peace and bergamot, these wonderfully supportive stress-reducing oils can help lower the stress of our lives. Frankincense would be another great one to add to that. So rose and patchouli, if you don't love those, FYI, doTERRA is really smart. I don't know if they knew about that research when they developed this blend, but I think they're pretty smart all the time anyway. They developed a blend called Whisper. And Whisper is a beautiful blend. It is the women's blend. It is wonderful for hormone support, but it also has rose and patchouli in it really beautifully and softly. And so it can be worn every day as a perfume. You can even put it on your wrist and the woman's wrist next to you or around the room and smell it. It's going to smell very unique and very particular, specific to each woman in the room. It's pretty fun actually to smell your neighbor and compare how they smell, because they smell so different. So stress is not the issue. It's how we interpret the stress. I just want to put that reminder in. So let's get a little bit better at handling and managing our stress, okay? So our limbic brain is very cool. It's super powerful, like I said. Like, we can put our diffuser on and be diffusing our essential oils. We can put them on our wrists, on our pulse points, behind our neck, over our heart, and we can just breathe in that aroma to help anytime we're feeling stressed out. And I think that the beautiful thing with this is that you can put, one of my favorite places to put my oils when I'm stressed is just in my palm, rub my palms together and breathe them in. And that mindful act of recognizing I'm stressed, recognizing I need to calm down, breathing in that aroma, breathing in, using my essential oil, that act alone of just simple mindfulness is going to help reduce the stress. It does for me every single time. It is crazy every single time. I promise you it will work. Okay, so signs and symptoms of adrenal dysregulation. I'm going to keep going for another couple of minutes, you guys, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Are going to be weight gain, weight loss, cravings, salt and sugar, low libido. A lot of women struggling with low libido. Lightheaded or dizzy feelings, that's connected to your blood pressure. Brain fog, low blood pressure, lower backache. So those are some of the things that are going to be connected to adrenal fatigue or adrenal dysregulation. So support the adrenals. Support the adrenals. I did a story on this on IGTV on my adrenal blend that I've been using. It works so good. I've been using it daily for about a week, and I already feel better. I already feel a little more energy in the afternoons. I didn't have coffee today, so that's good. A little bit less stress, and yeah, so you can feel those the medicinal plants, the medicinal grade essential oils. You feel them working very quickly. If you're not using doTERRA, you're not going to have the same results. I think you guys know that. Okay, so the thyroid function is dependent on healthy adrenal function. Okay, I've mentioned that a couple times. So if you have thyroid imbalance, check your adrenals. Support the adrenals, okay? So it's just that they've been overworking for years and years. And what's really common for women, coming back to women's health, which is what we're talking about, is that women in their 20s and 30s and 40s were really known for just like working really hard, trying to take care of the home, the meal, make an income, take care of our babies, bring life into this world, breastfeed our babies, do all of the things, say yes to everything and everyone. And that is basically making so many women stressed out by overdoing it and not having boundaries, not being able to say no when they need to say no. And so what's ending up happening is that they get into premenopause and perimenopause and menopause, and then their symptoms are exacerbated because their body is so out of balance. It's so much more out of whack. So take care of yourself in your 20s and 30s so that when you get to your 40s and 50s, those issues don't become big issues. Okay, so let's talk about some oils and products. I mean, I've just been talking about hormones and hormone imbalance, but there are some amazing oils and products to help support balance in your body as a woman, okay? So, all right, adrenals is going to be clove, frankincense, myrrh, thyroid. That's thyroid. Sorry, guys. Clove, frankincense, myrrh, lemongrass. You can put it on your thyroid and on the bottoms of your feet and on the reflex points of your big toe. You can do that 2 to 3 times a day. That's a great way to start supporting your thyroid. Again, if you're supporting your thyroid, you also want to pay attention to your adrenals, okay? So inhale every chance you get. Pull out your oils, inhale them, take a deep breath. That is going to help start reducing your stress levels, your chronic stress. The Lifelong Vitality Pack, the vitamins, the supplements. You guys, these are a must-have for every single woman. I just want to be really clear that your life will increase in its vitality and its wellness tenfold when you are taking the Lifelong Vitality. So if you don't know what that is, please message me. It is an absolute must. It's a must for every woman. I can't function without it. at all. Like I won't. I start to get achy back. I can't sleep well. My mood, I can feel it going up and down. I get pretty severe, very severe, I would say, brain fog. I can't go without my LLV, so I highly recommend that. The other one is the Mito 2 Max. I talk about this one a lot, so this shouldn't be new to you. The Mito 2 Max is the energy and stamina complex. It is all about giving you a boost of energy, and then there's no caffeine. It's all adaptogenic herbs, as we mentioned earlier. It is the ginseng, natural energy, stamina, coenzyme Q10, it's cordyceps, it's ashwagandha. It's all the wonderful adaptogenic herbs to keep your body feeling more energetic. It's mommy magic. It's wonderful for more energy when you're having adrenal fatigue, when you have thyroid issues, when you're feeling really out of balance. I take 2 a day every single day. I love it. The Lifelong Vitality, I should add, they're all absorbable. You don't burp it up. They're plant-based, completely bioavailable for our bodies, and it's fermented. It's basically fermented food in these little caps, and so our body absorbs it just like it's food, not like it's synthetic vitamins and just wants to pee it right out because it doesn't recognize it, right? It's fully absorbed into our body. It's got magnesium, which many people are deficient in magnesium. It's got B5 and B6, also common deficiencies, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin D, all the vitamins and minerals. And then it's got the cellular vitality complex, which is awesome for just the mitochondria in our cells. That's the energy of our cells. We got to keep things functioning properly. And then it's got the omegas, which are land and sea, and awesome for the mental clarity piece, the brain fog, and even like, further on down the line, like, let's not think about this happening now, but like Alzheimer's and brain issues, and like we want to keep all of our cells and all of our body functioning at the highest levels of homeostasis that we can, as long as we can. Okay, also consider thyme, geranium, and oregano. Those are great for progesterone support. Grapefruit helps prevent cortisol from blocking progesterone production. So grapefruit is a really great one. We use that in the beginning. That's a great one to use on a daily basis in your water. Hot flashes. You guys know Clary Calm, right? Clary Calm is the monthly blend, the women's monthly blend. That's going to help mitigate hot flashes, cramps, moodiness, during your period. Okay, it's like a must for every single woman. I tell women often, you can just draw a little smile from ovary to ovary. It's wonderful for helping alleviate cramps. And if you use it throughout the month, or definitely the week leading up to your period, you're going to notice that you don't have those huge mood swings. It's going to help balance you out, and that's going to make everyone around you a lot happier. Frankincense and geranium for disorders of the uterus, such as fibroid cysts. Roman chamomile and bergamot with fractionated coconut oil as a warm compress for cramps. That works really well. For hot flashes, we're going to go to peppermint, geranium, clary calm, talked about that, balance, clary sage, and the citrus oils. Libido, a drop of libido when your hormones are out of balance is really common. We're going to go to ylang ylang, our passion blend, which is really beautiful, sandalwood, cinnamon, clary sage, clary calm, immortelle. Neroli is known to be a marriage saver among essential oilers. So you have lots of different options, and just bringing these into your home, your daily life and routines, and even your bedroom. Okay, so this is a lot. We covered a lot. This is a huge topic. So where do I start? If you are totally new to doTERRA, if you haven't seen the Daily Wellness Kit, that is the best. I really recommend that for every woman. It comes with the vitamins. It comes with 4 or 5 of the really wonderful oils for hormone balance and for mood. It comes with a deep blue. It is such a great kit, and it's 20% off right now. So it's a good time to pick that up if you haven't already. The phytoestrogen is a must-have for women for clearing those receptor sites. Okay, again, like we talked about, getting rid of the xenoestrogens If you missed this broadcast in the beginning, you're going to want to go back and listen to the conversation about xenoestrogens. Okay, we got to get rid of xenoestrogens. We do that with the phytoestrogen. So we want the phytoestrogen is good, xeno is bad. And then the Clary Calm is a must for women, and oils and blends for stress. There are so many wonderful options. You guys, you can always send me a message if you have any questions. There's also Serenity Sleep Complex. If you have sleep issues, I was talking to somebody last night that tends to wake up at 3 in the morning. Her adrenals are shot, so everything's out of whack in her body, and she wakes up at 3 in the morning and can't get back to sleep. Serenity Sleep Complex is going to be wonderful for her, because you can't take melatonin long term, right? You guys all know that. So that actually, your body will basically stop responding to it if you're taking melatonin for a long period of time. It's wonderful for flights where you're going into different time zones, or you need it for acute periods of time, but melatonin over a long period of time, it doesn't do any good anyway. So reduce your stress and cortisol levels, reduce your stress, manage that stress. So use oils that are high in linalool, like lavender, basil, coriander. Those are high in linalool as well. Bergamot, there's been so much research done on bergamot for decreasing cortisol levels, increasing the parasympathetic nervous system. In other words, helping reduce stress in our body. Okay, clary sage, citrus oils, ylang ylang, and then Slim and Sassy is the metabolic blend. And I really do think that every woman should be using Slim and Sassy. It's going to help their metabolism regulate. So whether your metabolism is low, it can help raise it. Whether it's high, it can help lower it. It's going to help your metabolism find its way back into homeostasis again. Okay, you guys, I want to wrap this up. Thank you for those that stayed with me this whole time. Like I said in the beginning, it's a huge topic, women's health and hormones. And I don't know, I hope you got something out of this. Reduce the xenoestrogens, take the phytoestrogen, reduce your stress levels. You guys, I want you to have a long and healthy life. I love that new saying of dying young at a ripe old age. That is what I am personally determined to do. I want a long and vital and vibrant life, and I want you to have that too. So use these essential oils. If you don't already have them, you can message me. I'll get you hooked into them. We'll figure out what's going to be best for you. You get to join our community. You get tons of education, connection, information, ongoing support, lots of information, and really we can do a lot with these doTERRA oils and these doTERRA products. So I want you to have them. Yeah, they can change your life. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap up. I'll see you guys later.